So Titans Season 1 and 2 is one of the weirdest comic book shows out there in terms of quality, at least in my opinion, and just to be completely open, I don't like the first two seasons at all. I think that they are some of the worst comic book TV that we've ever had, and it's annoying because in both seasons there are always one or two episodes that are really good and stand head and shoulders above the rest of the season. Like in Season 1, I thought any episode focusing on Hawk or Dove were way better written than anything else that focused on like Raven or Gar or Starfire. In Season 2, I thought the episode dedicated to Superboy was unbelievably better than any other episode on the show to that point, and it was like watching a completely different TV show with the Superboy episode. But whether it was the editing, the pacing, the writing, or the fact that the show loved to focus on Bat characters instead of the actual Titans, I just personally felt this show was an all-around mess, and it felt to me borderline unsalvageable. But a ton of early reactions for these first three episodes claimed that the show was now way better than it ever had been before, and just way better than the first two seasons in general. But was that actually the case? But really quickly, before getting into this review, I just want to ask if you can subscribe if you're not already. I make DC and Marvel videos every single week, and new subscribers really do help to keep up the motivation to make new videos. But yes, as far as consistency, I do think that these three episodes are the most well-made we've ever seen Titans be. Because in the first two seasons, the show always claimed to be expensive, but the effects, the lighting, that blue filter, which unfortunately is still present, it all still looked like a very cheap show. But that's not the case anymore. The show truly now looks like it is HBO level. Like it looks like it's HBO level. There are still, in my opinion, a few issues the show needs to work out, some weird writing stuff, but it looks like a HBO show. And if these three episodes are any indication, the people working on the show are actually genuinely trying to improve the show. They're trying to take on board fan criticism, and they're trying to improve the show because of that. So they have some serious respect there, because there are other DC shows out there that we know of that, despite the fact that fans are arguing, or fans are clamoring for shows to improve themselves, the writers and the creators and that, they're not even trying to take on board fan criticisms. Titans does not seem to be that case. Titans seems to be a show that the people behind it are really genuinely listening to fans and trying to improve it, and they get huge props there from me. But the first three episodes of the season are probably the most Bat-focused the show has ever been. These first three episodes are essentially all about Jason. We see his fall to becoming Red Hood. We see his death by the Joker. We see more Bruce than we probably have in a while. We're almost completely in Gotham City, other than a few brief moments in San Francisco and Washington, D.C. And we also get introduced to Barbara Gordon, Scarecrow, and even Tim Drake. Now, I really wish that the show would move away from the Bat stuff for once, but looking away from that, like, it's kind of clear that that's just what the show is. So looking beyond that, this was a pretty well-written opening to the season. They do sort of rush through the Red Hood storyline, but honestly, I'm okay with that, because at this point, I feel like most people know the story of Jason Todd. It's kind of like it's almost like a Peter Parker or Bruce Wayne situation now, where you don't really need to re-see the origin story every time you watch something new with those characters. But the third episode, which ties Jason's storyline with that of Hank and Dawn, is probably the best episode of the entire show. Like, that is one of the that is the one episode of these three that I barely have any complaints with. Like, if Titans was ever to have a perfect episode, that is probably going to be that episode. Like, episode 3 of this season is probably going to be that perfect Titans episode. I also feel like the show works the best when it focuses on a few characters like this, rather than an insane ensemble of characters that are all in the posters. And episode 3, it had a fair few characters in it, but it felt more focused on like Hank, Dawn, and Jason than on the entire ensemble. The opening to the season with the first big Titans team-up fight we've seen in a while was great. It was a perfect way of showing the team is now really able to work together in a smart way. I also just personally felt like Brenton playing Dick like that while smiling and really showing off the new Nightwing suit is really the most like the character the show has ever been. Like, that felt like it just kind of stepped out of the comics, honestly. And I thought it was a very enjoyable way to showcase the new suit as well. I want to talk about Bruce Wayne real quick, because I know that him killing Joker is probably going to be one of the most controversial things to come out of this new season. But, well, I honestly liked it, or I was at least okay with it. Like, it made sense to me, honestly, that this version of Bruce, in this version of Earth, is so broken and angry and pissed off that he would kill the Joker because of it. And he's also become so desensitized to everything that he's also in a pretty bleak attitude towards getting another Robin immediately. Now, if this was supposed to be like the main definitive version of the characters in live action, of course I'd be pissed off, but the fact we know all these shows now exist in one big DC multiverse makes this really well done to me, because it would be a little bit boring to have every version of the character that we see on screen have to be as much like the comics as possible. I will say though that I still really strongly think Ian Glenn's Bruce Wayne is miscast. I love the guy in Game of Thrones, but he just does not make a good Bruce Wayne in my opinion. His Scottish accent also constantly seeps through, and while I definitely see why some could dig it, it just does not work for me at all. Speaking of Bruce Wayne and Batman and all of that, man, I really wish we would get some more Superman or Super Mythos related stuff in the show. Like, every other line in these first 3 episodes was somehow related to the Bat characters or something like that, and like the only reference to anything Superman was the police officer mentioning how cool it was to meet a super. But I don't know, I just feel like we're still in that era where Batman gets way more respect and way more showcasing than anything Superman. Some other stray thoughts I have: we're getting some stuff with Starfire likely setting up Blackfire arc. There was absolutely nothing to do with Raven, Jericho, or even Rose in these 3 episodes. Raven was explained at least, but Rose and Jericho basically just dropped off the face of the planet. I also kind of dig this weird version of Crane they're going for. I think Barbara was interesting enough, but I need to see more of her before I kind of know if I'm liking what they're doing. But yeah, Titans is back after 2 years, and it's definitely improved. Still some weird issues, but definitely improved. But how did you feel about the episodes? Did you like them, hate them? And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and all of that. And I hope you have a great day.